Welcome back to episode 9 of Writing in the Raw. Sit rep. My son is sick. He threw up like 4 times last night. So I've been cleaning up throw up. My wife and I, not just me single-handedly. I don't know how single parents do it. If you're a single parent, it ain't for me. It ain't for me. Like, the list of reasons to stay together in a relationship long-term is just... I know it doesn't work out that way for a lot of people. I know. I'm just saying I could not have done... I wouldn't survive without my wife. Anyway, sit rep. Didn't sleep last night. I feel like I got my suitcases under my eyes here. I haven't written. I didn't write at all over Christmas break. I'm in a small writing group, and size of the writing group doesn't matter. I don't know why I added that adjective. I'm in a writing group, and they posted a prompt, which is a good prompt if you want to do it. The prompt is write about your earliest childhood memory. And so I did that. So I did write all of 48 words. This should really be called less of Writing in the Raw and more of that dude that never really did anything and you know the ending and it's really sad. Yeah. But anyway, I felt like I needed to do this to encourage you and say it could be worse. It could be worse. This is like the person jumping off the ship. What day is it? On the 8th. Jumping off the gym wagon on January 8th because they ate a pizza last night and they haven't actually been to the gym more than once, which was on January 2nd or January 1st. Don't jump off the wagon, jump back on the wagon. The fact that you actually care, the fact that there is a struggle, there's a struggle inside of me. I genuinely do care. I really want to finish this. And if nothing else, I'm on this for the journey. Come along with me. It is a journey riddled with failure. I'm always telling my wife to just get unshackled by the chains of encouraging my wife. I try not to tell my wife anything. It doesn't work well. 10 years in, I have learned things, a few things. Never tell your wife anything. Suggest, make space, and let it go. I'm always trying to encourage her to unfetter herself with the chains of perfection. And it's hilarious because the image of me is just completely shackled with perfectionism. We see most clearly the faults in others that we have. That person is too judgmental. Right? So the faults that I see in others a lot are pride and being slaves to perfectionism. And I'm constantly harping on those, which means proud struggles with perfectionism. Which is good. It's good to recognize that. We're going to carry on. What do I have today? I'm tiny. Look how cute I am. I'm a little tiny baby. I like how you can just move this thing around. Okay. So, what do I have today? I guess I did write. I did write over the break because I wrote Cottontail Gets Stuck. Oh. We might actually talk about fairy tales and about how good they are. So I wrote Cottontail Gets Stuck, and I just blasted through this. This is a complete rough draft. I wrote this in 20 minutes because there was a family that was going to come over to our house. This is back big. Don't read this. There was a family that was coming over to our house to celebrate Advent. They have 4 lovely children and 1 on the way, which is amazing. And they came over for Advent, and we've been doing like Bible studies for the kids and like learning about different things. I am so conflicted and torn by that because I was raised in all that, and I still don't know what I got out of that besides like a freakish understanding of the contents of the Bible, a lot of guilt, a lot of shame. It's only in my adult life that I'm getting freed up from these things as I continue to realize and understand the thought of God as a father. And as I am a father, so many things just make sense to me where I'm just like, I would never hold that over my son's head. do I think God would hold that over my head? I would never give something bad and painful or yucky to my son. And it's like, what do I think God, why do I think God's a worse father than I am? This has really clarified so much of the character of God as the Father, God the Father, and the ability to be able to do that through the forgiveness of Jesus. Like, it's insane. Anyway, so they came over for an Advent thing. And I got to teach that morning, and I really wanted to present a story that wasn't just like, and lo, the angels came upon them and saith unto them, because everything is in the King James, saith, spoketh, spake, and I really wanted to have something fun and exciting for the kids and something that didn't suck. That's my whole shtick. Maybe that's where the perfectionism comes from, because I'm just like, I've seen the Left Behind series and like went through all the Christian music growing up, and a lot of it just sucked compared to, like AC/DC, Leonard Skinner, or whoever, Justin Timberlake, anything like that. It just wasn't as punchy. It wasn't as good. The lyrics were great. They were solid. But the craft, right? The craft just kind of sucked. And I remember reading Chronicles of Narnia for the first time and being like, okay, and that's going to offend lots of people. Like, I don't want to, I don't want to yuck your yum. For me personally, I expected more. I expected to be blown away. I expected to be transported. I expected it to be more visceral. But I read it later on in life. I didn't read it as a kid, so I don't have those memories. If you eat something today that someone has eaten their entire life or as a kid, they are going to be blown away with it, transported. They have those memories, and you'll just be like, it was a burger. It was a tamale. So I recognize that. So I think that was part of my problem with that whole Chronicles of Narnia things. When I read it, we didn't read that growing up. I didn't have any type of emotional connection with that. So I recognize that. And I say, if it's one of your favorite stories ever, amazing. It's an amazing story. The teachings in there, the characters, the stories, that will be read for 1,000 years right from now, and no one will read a word that I've ever written. So I recognize that. I am an ant looking up at a mountain saying, not for me. I recognize that, and I admit that freely and without any guile at all. So there we are. So I wanted to write something that didn't suck and that told a story. There is an ability in fairy tales to teach, but it also enables, it also equips. I'm so haranguey right now because I haven't done this. I'm going to put a pin in this. Here's what I'm going to do. This fights the ADHD. Yes. I will make a note right here that says the OP-ness overpowered. If you don't play video games, it's just overpowered. The overpoweredness of fairy tales. And if we get to that, that would be lovely. We're already 8 minutes in this. Okay. Here we go. Cottontail gets stuck. Everyone loved Little Bunny Cottontail. Cottontail owned a little tinker cart. There's a lot of littles here. Owned a tinker cart where she would fix broken things. Anytime a strap on an animal's backpack would break, or the shoes needed new soles, or a button came off their favorite jacket, Cottontail was there to fix it. "Thank you, Cottontail," Mr. Badger said, admiring his fixed jacket. "I love how you matched the missing button with the others. It looks wonderful." "We simply love your work," Mrs. Beaver said, holding up a fixed pair of shoes for her little beaver kit. It is a beaver kit. There are lots of little animals that are called kits, foxes, beavers, all kinds of things. Anyway. And Cottontail would smile because she knew that she was loved by all the animals in town, well, except for that pesky old otter that kept asking day after day for the same thing. "No," Cottontail, who was very firm when she needed to be. Oh, sorry, she's a she. Yeesh. "No," said Cottontail, who was very firm when she needed to be. "I do not work for free." "But," said the old otter, "it's just a little strap for my old bag here. Surely you could fix it." "I've told you before, that old bag isn't worth fixing. It's so old and crumbly that no new strap could be properly attached, and I won't have my name on shoddy work. And besides, every animal knows that you don't have the money to pay for it." The old otter looked sad thank you. Yes, every animal is, because every one is one word. So I want that. Stop it. Pulled his aged bag from his chest. He nodded at Cottontail, who was already busy fixing a squeaky hinge for Mr. Mouse, which would be a tiny little hinge, right? One day Cottontail was pulling her tinker cart across the old forest road to go to Squirrelville, deep in the heart of the forest. She was humming a little song to herself and not paying much attention when suddenly her cart slid off a smooth rock and tumbled into a squishy mud puddle. Splock! I'm going to say giant mud puddle because I really want the bigness of it, the big and small and big and small. And I am writing to a 4.5-year-old because that's how old my son is. So I'm trying to, and I don't dumb down language for my son. I really don't. I use the word pontificate around my son. I use all kinds of crazy, gesticulate, all kinds of these words around him because I know he's going to pick them up. And contextually, kids are geniuses at contextually just being like, oh, I think I know what that means. I'm going to guess because that's their whole world. That's how they're learning language, is that repetition and that use incorrect. Okay, try it again. Use incorrectly. You try it again. He's really funny because he uses adverbs in places that a lot of people don't use adverbs, like correctly. And it makes me very happy. But I know he's just repeating sentence structure from his parents. So, and that is one of the things about homeschooling that I felt I really benefited from because I had two really clever, really smart parents. And so I was able to glean their language, and mercifully, it was good language, it was clean language, it was concise language, and it was descriptive language. So I benefited from that. Thanks, Pop. And Maja, Zamaja, and Zafaja. Cottontail was covered from head to toe in nasty, stinky mud. There needs to be a comma here because we are describing two things. Nasty, comma, stinky mud. Yuck, she said, wiping drops of black mud from her whiskers. She grabbed the cart handles and pulled the cart. The only problem was that the cart didn't move. She pulled again. I think the cart, I kind of want to say the cart had other ideas. It was stuck. It didn't move. It was stuck in the mud. So this is in my brain. High language, the cart had other ideas. High language, kind of Terry Pratchett, adding a little bit of, what is it when inanimate objects are real? Is that transpomorphism? Or is that for animals? Put it in the comments. I'm not going to look it up. I'm going to go. I know inanimate objects and animals have different, when you're ascribing human attributes to them, I know there's a different word for it. So put it in the comments. That probably was loud. I'm snapping. The only problem was that the cart had other ideas. It was stuck in the mud. So we have this high language and then low language. So if you're inferring that the cart was stuck, now you're enforced with this idea. And again, I'm just talking for like tiny little kids. And like a 10-year-old would be like, le duh. And a 14-year-old would be like, I hate you. She pulled again, this time using her super strong bunny legs to push into the mud. But again, comma, nothing. And I'm going to pull this over here. She pulled and strained and rocked the cart until she was out of breath and angrier than a nest of hornets. I've had many encounters with hornets' nests, and they all suck. Just then she heard someone coming down the old forest road whistling. Help! Cottontail yelled. Oh, Mr. Badger said. You scared me, Cottontail. Is that you down there? Mr. Badger, oh, thank God you're here. Can you help me? My cart is stuck. I struggle to say thank God you're here. I kind of want to say thank goodness, because thank God kind of sounds, it's a little too preachy, isn't it? Or maybe it's, I don't know. I hate this. I hate that, whatever. This is one of my least favorite things. Thank goodness you're here. Can you help me? It just sounds, but thank goodness sounds like lighter, doesn't it? It's softer. My cart is stuck. Stuck, you say? Have you tried pulling it out? A lightning bolt of rage and frustration flashed through Cottontail from head to toe. My, what a fine idea, she shouted. Wouldn't it be fine as well if a strong badger were to come down and help me? Mr. Badger shifted nervously on the path. You see, he said, clearly racking his mind for excuses, I can't. I'm wearing that jacket you fixed. I can't. I kind of want to give him a stutter there. I can't. I'm wearing that jacket you just fixed, and I don't want to ruin it messing about in the mud. That's probably a comma. Messing, they want to change ruin it by messing about. Sure. But, Cottontail said, but I fixed that for you. So sorry I can't, Mr. Badger said, and he sped down the road. I think there needs to be more here. Fix that for you. We can clean it after. We can clean it after. Okay, I like that. But I fixed that for you. We can clean it after. So sorry I can't, Mr. Badger said, and he sped down the road. Cottontail was about to yell after him when she heard when she heard a mother talking to a kit. Sure. When she heard another voice. It sounded like a mother talking to a kit. Let's spread that out a little bit. Mind your shoes, Mrs. Beaver said. Walk around the puddles, dear. Around them. No, around. Hey, Mrs. Beaver, Cottontail called. Is that you? Mrs. Beaver and her little kit came to the edge of the road. Oh, my, Mrs. Beaver said. You poor thing. Could you come and help me? Cottontail asked. Sweet little bunny, I wish I could. We're late to a play date. I really wish we could help. Good day. And with that, they were gone. Cottontail was dejected. She leaned against her stuck cart and started to cry. She'd never get her cart out now. Tears, an old voice said. Cottontail looked up through blurry eyes. Through blurry eyes, she saw a familiar silhouette. I cannot spell silhouette. There is an H in there. S-I-L-H-O-U. Okay, here we go. Let's try it again. S-I-L-H-O-U. Silhouette. I just saw this, and look, watch. It's awful. That's not even close, dude. Thank you. There's no W. Oh, my gosh, I suck at this. Oh, I just added an E. Oh, look at this. All I need to do is delete the W. 7 points for Gryffindor. It was Mr. Otter. You're in quite the pickle, the old otter said. No one. No one will help me. I thought they loved me. They said they did, but no one will help me. This is reductive. It's small. We're not thinking every edge case and like what would the rabbit, it's a kid's thing. It kind of bothers me too because it's so on the nose, but I had 20 minutes. I'm going with it. Fairy tales are for a reason. We'll talk about that hopefully. 18. We might not talk about it today. 18 minutes already gone. But no one will help me. They said they did, but no one will help me. Then that's not love. He pulled an ancient rope from his tattered old backpack. Tie-in, right? The backpack that she won't help him fix, he's opening and using contents of to help her get unstuck, right? This is sacrificial. We're learning about sacrificial love here. This is a fairy tale about sacrificial love, which is closer to true love than you make me feel groovy. I love you. Then that's not love. He pulled an ancient rope from his tattered old backpack. Without a word, he tied the rope to the cart and pulled it around. Tied a rope to... Imagine, Benjamin, the cart is stuck. He wants to tie it. If he tied it to the handle, it would slip off. If he tied it to the wheel, it would be a good thing through the old wooden spoked wheels. Then we pull it, and it pulls it down, but then he'd have to retie it. He could tie it to the seat, a wooden seat on the front of the cart. No, there's no seat because there's no animal pulling the cart because it's a bunny pulling the cart. Shoot. Shoot. Hand pull wooden cart. Dun, dun, dun. My head's in the way. Images. Please don't. There we go. Oh, there's little slats over here. Okay, I'm kind of envisioning. I was envisioning something like this. So couldn't pull there. Couldn't pull there. Could pull down here. All right. Okay. Thank you. Seriously, writing in the 21st century. I mean, like, dudes back in the day, like, yeah. Dickens had to imagine stuff. Had to, like, I don't know. He couldn't, like, bring up a bunch of pictures and write it. So I think that's why descriptions have changed, because we're turning more and more into a visual culture and less of an emotion one. Without a word, he tied a rope to the cart. Sure, and pulled it around and tied the rope to the cart and then looped it around a tree. Looped it around a tree. Together they pulled the rope. Together they pulled the rope. Together, comma, what is this bunny's name? Cottontail. Is Cottontail one word? Oh, brutal. That's an oversight. Sure. Cottontail should be a word. I think. Oh, I'm getting deranged also. Cottontail. Find and replace with Cottontail. Next. Place. Place all. Okay. Done. Control F or Command F if you don't know that trick. And then this is the replace. Every Microsoft Word pages, all of it, use Command F, and then you can find and replace things if you do that. If you change a name in a manuscript and you're like 30,000, 60,000, 100,000 words in, and you're like, I hate this name, which is what I'm doing. I've changed the name of one of my main characters in the Fox Chronicles. It'll help. It's not perfect, but it'll help. You still have to read through it and do it. As with all tools, you still have to do the work. It just makes it easier on the front end. Okay, Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail. We're good bunnies. Where are we? Bum, 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 bum. Looped it around a tree. Together, this is why I went through this. Cottontail and Mr. Otter and the old otter. The old otter who has no name. Pulled the rope. Pulled the rope. Pulled the rope. Together. Looped it around together. And the old otter pulled on the rope. Pulled on the rope. They pulled and pulled. And finally, comma, with a great thock, comma, the cart came unstuck. What does that sound? Schlop. Schlop. Sure, schlop. And with a great schlop, the cart came unstuck. Love was born. This is too preachy. How does Cottontail feel? This is what we need. Cottontail was exhausted, filthy, but relieved. Cottontail was exhausted, filthy, but she was also relieved. She was also relieved and very thankful. Oh, thank you. She said. She said, comma, still panting. But why did you help me? I didn't fix your bag, and you still helped me. The old otter leaned I want to say was leaning, but then we're messing with tenses, and I get really screwed up with tenses. Was leaning against the tinker cart, and pulling the muddy rope and coiling the muddy rope around his arm. He paused and looked at Cottontail. There you go. Okay, so we're setting up this scene a little bit instead of just spitting out dialogue. I want to slow it down a little bit. The word pause, he's leaning, right? So the language switches. Paused, leaning. We're slowing down here. This is the final scene here. We're zooming in to the otter's face here. This weathered, kind otter. This bunny who's just exhausted, just sitting there, muddy. We've come to the end of this, and this is what we're going to do. Leaning against her. He paused and looked at Cottontail. Love was born on a one-way street, the old otter said. Stuffing the ancients. Yeah, so reaching. No, he's not doing anything. He is doing something, but not what I wanted him to do. This is what happens when you're. I was born on a one-way street. Sure. What does that mean? Cottontail said, shaking mud from her ears. I like that. From her ears. It means that love doesn't wait to be loved first. That didn't make much sense. To Cottontail. That didn't make much sense to Cottontail. She knew that love was earned. If she did good things, she was loved. Good things, then she would be loved. And if she wasn't, if she was bad or didn't do good things, then she didn't deserve love. I'm not sure I understand. Understand, she said. Alright, I gotta finish this. I'm already at 28 minutes in. I know one of you is gonna be like, just do it, just finish it. Fine, I'll finish it, fine. But then I want a chance to talk about fairy tales. Whatever. Talk about fairy tales next time in context with Cottontail. I'm not sure I understand. How do I finish this? We're looking for that clean ending that goes beyond. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm stuck. So what I'm going to do is this is how I want to finish it. I want to finish with her fixing his bag. Finish with her fixing his bag, like in the market. I'm not sure I understand. I think you do. The old otter said with a smile. Okay, cool. Finish with fixing the bag. So we're out of this scene. The next day, Cottontail's Cottontail's Tinker Cart was back in the middle of, did I say what town it was? No, she's going to Squirrelville or something. So back in the middle of the town. A bit muddier than the day before. But Cottontail was already hard at work before the sun crested the Green Mountains peak. Crested the Green Mountains peak. She was humming to herself and fixing old Mr. Otter's, the old Otter's bag. And she wouldn't charge him a cent. She was humming to herself and fixing the old Otter's bag, and she wouldn't charge him a cent. So we've come to the end of a thing. I'm 60% sold on this ending. It's just made up on the fly. I just spent 3 minutes on that. Cool beans, whatever. But the important thing to note about this ending is that it has to matter. The story has to matter. There has to be character change. So there is character change. We are teaching a moral here. It's fun. There's peril, and briefly peril in stories. A lot of authors, especially of children's stories, they shy away from it, right? But the thing is, when kids run into trouble, peril, situations that they don't understand, they draw on fairy tales, stories to help them solve, to help them remember, how did the main character get out of this situation? What happened? Hansel and Gretel. If there's this big thing in my life that is scary, what can I do? Is there hope? There is hope. You have to think. You have to push back against this. You have to be smart. Like Hansel and Gretel is a story teaching you that even if you are overpowered and outmatched, there still is hope if you're clever, to think. So kids can use those, draw on fairy tales and stories, to help them out of situations. If you're in a position where people aren't loving you and they're telling you that that they are your friends, this rabbit would suggest to you, or this otter would suggest to you, maybe they don't actually love you, maybe they aren't actually your friends. And that love is a one-way street. That's kind of the theme that I wanted to get on this. So there that is. I've spent a lot of time. This is a longer episode. Thanks for making it to the end. If you did, like that thing, subscribe to that thing, share that thing, and come along with me in this journey. Yeah. Anyway, right in the raw. I'll see you guys next time.